Welcome back to another episode of What If Naruto Had a Big Brother? In this alternate Naruto universe, one small twist changes everything. What if Naruto wasn't alone? What if he grew up with someone stronger, smarter, and born to rewrite destiny itself? Today, we dive deeper into the story of Kaito Uzumaki, Naruto's powerful older brother whose existence shakes the entire Shinobi world. New alliances form, new enemies rise, and the future of Konoha may never be the same again. So sit back, relax, and get ready, because this episode is about to change everything. By dawn, sunlight spilled over the forest canopy as Team 11 gathered around a small campfire, steam rising from Hotaru's pot of porridge. The raid had gone flawlessly. Kaito's stealth seal allowed them to slip into the camp undetected, and his chakra chains had skewered the Jonin leader before he had time to react. All stolen supplies and the heirloom were sealed away, ready to be returned. Kaito glanced at Karen's tent to make sure she was still resting. "She's still asleep," he murmured. "Let her rest a little longer." Itachi stirred the fire. "We can be back in the village by noon." Kaito nodded. "Once we eat, we'll head out." Hotaru handed bowls of porridge to Kaito and Itachi, then set one aside for Karen. They ate quietly, until a sudden scream pierced the morning. "Mom!" Karen bolted upright inside the tent, trembling, clutching her bedding. Kaito immediately approached her. Hey, it's okay," he said softly. Karen saw him, and everything from the night before came rushing back. Her small shoulders shook as she cried. "Hi. I'm fine," she whispered, voice breaking. Kaito sighed and gently patted her head. "You're safe now, Karen." Hotaru stepped in with the bowl she had saved. "Here, Karen-chan. Eat a little, okay?" Karen accepted it hesitantly, looking from Hotaru to Kaito. Kaito smiled warmly. "This is Hotaru Hyuga, one of my closest friends." He gestured to Itachi, who gave a quiet wave. "And that's Itachi Uchiha." Karen nodded shyly and murmured, "Thank you." They all sat together by the fire. Karen ate slowly, still unsure, still shaken. Then she whispered, What's going to happen to me now?" Kaito set his empty bowl aside and faced her fully. "You're going to the Hidden Leaf with us," he said softly. "You'll stay with me. My mom, my little brother, they'll be happy to meet you. Especially my mom, she'll be thrilled to see another Uzumaki." Karen's eyes flickered with fear at the mention of a new village, a new life. Kaito leaned closer and rested a gentle hand on her back. "Don't worry, Karen-chan. Big brother Kaito won't let anything bad happen to you. I promise." For the first time that morning, Karen managed a tiny, fragile smile. Finishing his porridge, Kaito set the bowl aside and gave Karen a gentle smile. "Like I said, we are from the same clan, so you'll come with us to the Hidden Leaf. You'll stay with me. It's just me, my mom, and my little brother. He's your age too. And trust me, Mom's gonna be thrilled to meet another Uzumaki." Karen hesitated, unease flickering in her eyes at the mention of a new village. Kaito softened his tone, leaning forward with a reassuring smile. "Don't worry, Karen-chan. Big brother Kaito won't let anything bad happen to you." Her small shoulders relaxed, and she gave him the tiniest, fragile smile. By late afternoon, the forest around Konohagakure glowed gold. 3 figures raced through the trees, their shadows stretching behind them, Itachi and Hotaru leading the way while Kaito carried Karen securely on his back. They landed before Konoha's towering gates. Kaito gently set Karen down, crouching to her level. "Welcome to Konoha," he said softly. Karen's eyes traveled upward, widening at the massive gates and the imposing walls. "It's so much bigger than Kusagakure," she whispered in awe. Kaito chuckled. "Hi. One of the 5 great shinobi villages. Maybe even the biggest." Itachi gestured toward the guard booth. "Let's check in. We still have to report to the Hokage." "Oh, thank goodness," Hotaru yawned, stretching her arms. "I need a bed." "And I need to introduce Karen to my mom," Kaito added. They registered Karen as a temporary visitor, then headed straight for the Hokage tower. After informing the secretary, Karen stayed outside with Kaito's shadow clone while the team entered the third Hokage's office. Hiruzen looked up from his paperwork, pipe smoke curling around him. Team 11. I trust the mission went smoothly. Itachi bowed. Hotaru bowed. Kaito bowed. Hi, Hokage-sama, Itachi reported. The bandits were led by rogue Takagakure Shinobi. We retrieved the heirloom. He handed over the sealed scroll. Hiruzen nodded approvingly. Well done. Your mission pay will be deposited shortly. If that is all. Actually, Lord Third, there's something else, Kaito said. Hiruzen raised a brow, gesturing for him to continue. During the raid, we found a woman and her daughter held prisoner. The mother died just before we arrived. Kaito inhaled softly. They were Uzumaki. The mother had my ability. Hiruzen froze mid-pipe puff. That ability. Kaito lifted his wrist to show the faint bite mark. Hi. The Hokage sighed heavily. They used her until she died, didn't they? Kaito nodded. And the girl, she is outside. Hi, Kaito answered. I want to ask for permission to let her stay in Konoha. Hiruzen smiled gently. You don't need permission. Konoha has always stood as a home for the Uzumaki. Kushina will be overjoyed. He nodded. Bring her in. Kaito stepped outside and returned with Karen hiding timidly behind him. This is Karen Uzumaki, he said. Hiruzen's warm smile reached his eyes. Welcome to Konoha, Karen-chan. You are safe here. The Uzumaki will always have a home in this village. Karen bowed awkwardly. Thank you. Kaito then asked permission to bury Karen's mother in Konoha's cemetery. Hiruzen wrote a signed authorization and handed it over. Konoha will honor her, he said softly. After leaving the office, Itachi gave a small wave. I'll see you both later. He flickered away. Hotaru stretched. I'm heading home too, Kai-kun. Help Karen settle in. I will, Kaito promised. Hotaru hugged Kaito, then knelt to hug Karen gently. I'll bring my sister to meet you. She's your age. She waved goodbye and left. Kaito didn't rush. He walked slowly so Karen could take in the sights of Konoha. She stared wide-eyed at every street, every stall, every unfamiliar smell. When her gaze lingered on a takoyaki stand, Kaito smiled knowingly and bought a few boxes. He handed her a tray. Try one. It's called takoyaki. Karen took a hesitant bite, and her eyes lit up instantly. Kaito laughed. Good, right? Mom's even better at making them. They walked the rest of the way while snacking. When they reached the Uzumaki home, Kaito slid open the door and called out. Mom, I'm back. Kitchen, honey. Kushina called cheerfully. Kaito led Karen in. Kushina stood over a pot, stirring, while Naruto sat at the table practicing calligraphy with surprising concentration. Kushina turned, and froze when she saw Karen peeking out behind Kaito. Kai-kun, who is this? Kaito gently nudged Karen forward. Mom, this is Karen Uzumaki. Karen, this is my mother, Kushina Uzumaki. Kushina's eyes widened. Uzumaki. Karen bowed nervously. And nice to meet you. Kaito explained everything briefly, the captivity, the mother's death, and how Karen had nowhere to go. Kushina's expression softened instantly. She knelt, drawing Karen into a warm hug. Hello, Karen-chan. I'm Aunt Kushina. You're safe now. No one will ever hurt you again. Karen stiffened, then slowly melted into the hug, tears gathering in her eyes. Naruto trotted over curiously. Who's she? Kaito ruffled his brother's hair. This is Karen-chan. She's going to live with us. So be nice, okay? Naruto nodded enthusiastically. Okay. Hi, Karen. Kushina wiped Karen's cheeks. You're so thin. Let's get you cleaned up. I have some clothes that might fit. She led Karen away excitedly. The shadow clone sighed and turned off the stove before dinner burned. "Naruto, help me finish cooking." "Yeah." Naruto grinned. The real Kaito took a quick bath. A few minutes later, Kushina returned with Karen, freshly bathed and dressed in clean clothes, looking timid but calmer. "Karen-chan, help Naruto set the table," Kushina said warmly. Karen nodded, following Naruto. Together they placed plates and bowls around the table. Dinner was katsu curry, and they ate together like a family that had always included Karen. Afterward, Kushina prepared a small room for Karen with a spare futon, tucking both Karen and Naruto into bed gently. Later, she walked back into the living room and found Kaito studying a scroll. She sat across from him, eyes soft. "Kai-kun, what happened to her mother?" Kaito slowly closed the scroll and told her everything. Every detail. Every ugly truth. By the end, Kushina's fists trembled, and she promptly smacked Kaito on the head. "Oh, Mom. That's for infiltrating a hidden village alone," she scolded. Then she pulled him into a tight hug. "But I'm proud of you. You saved her life. And we'll take care of her together." Kaito exhaled deeply and hugged her back. "I couldn't just leave her, Mom." "I know," Kushina whispered with a smile. "And that's why you're my son." Kaito put away the scroll and exhaled deeply. He told her everything, how he overheard that Kusa Shinobi mentioning a red-haired woman with the healing bite ability, how he infiltrated Kusagakyu under disguise, and how he found Karen and her mother in that hellish hospital. By the time he finished, Kushina's expression had darkened in fury at how her fellow Uzumaki had been treated. She reached over and bonked Kaito on the head without hesitation. "Oh, hey. That hurt. Why no?" Kaito protested, rubbing the sore spot. Kushina huffed. "That was for infiltrating a hidden village alone. What were you thinking, you baker?" But before he could retort, she pulled him into a tight hug. "But I'm glad you did." Kaito sighed in relief and hugged her back. "I couldn't just leave her there." Kushina softened, her eyes warm. "You did the right thing, Kai-kun. We'll take good care of her." The next morning, the early noon sun washed over the village, bright and warm, as Kaito crouched in the training grounds near his home. His breath came out in ragged pants, sweat dripping down his chin as he steadied himself with a hand on a three-pronged kunai. 6 identical kunai surrounded him in a rough circle, each marked with his FTG seal. A little farther away, groups of Kaito's shadow clones worked tirelessly on different parts of his training regimen. 4 clones knelt before chunks of hardened soil, trying to push chakra into the earth with precise control, trying to crack, shape, and move it. Earth release was proving incredibly stubborn. Unlike his natural affinities, Earth resisted him, heavy and immovable. Even with the help of the clones, progress was slow. 2 other clones stood over medical practice dummies, working meticulously to integrate Kaito's heal bite ability into standard healing jutsu. That training was frustrating, delicate and prone to failure. Nearby, 2 clones meditated atop sharp stone spikes, their bodies perfectly still, mimicking the absolute stillness Naruto once used for Sage Mode. Kaito wanted to master the foundation early, so when the opportunity to learn Sage Mode came, he wouldn't struggle like Jiraiya had. In the center, 3 clones worked on refining the Rasengan, trying to push it into colossal Chudama proportions with nature chakra. Another trio worked on compressing Rasengans down into Rasendan size while still adding elemental transformation. The Rasendan attempts frequently exploded in their faces. Even so, Kaito had managed to recreate the vanishing Rasengan in Rasendan form, though stabilizing it was still a nightmare. When he finally pushed himself back to his feet, Kaito gripped the FTG kunai tightly and inhaled sharply. Chakra surged. In the next instant, he vanished in a flash. He reappeared beside one kunai, slashed the air, vanished again, appeared by another, slashed, again and again, flickering through space like a chain of lightning strikes. But on the 5th jump, the world tilted. He stumbled, and crashed face-first into the ground. Hurts every time," he groaned, rolling onto his back, panting hard. 5 times. One of his clones dispersed its task and walked toward him. Boss, you hit 5 consecutive jumps. That's your best so far. Yeah, Kaito wheezed, but it drains way too much chakra. And I still can't adjust my sense of direction after rematerializing. He let himself lie still, staring up at the sky until his breathing calmed. Then he dispelled his clones one by one. Their memories slammed into him in an overwhelming rush: earth manipulation failures, Rasengan explosions, successful integrations, failed attempts, meditative stillness. He exhaled long and slow. That's enough for today. It had been a few months since Kaito brought Karen home. The day after rescuing her, they had held a small funeral for her mother. Kaito, Kushina, and Naruto visited Minato's grave too, paying respects with flowers. Afterward, Kushina took them shopping: new clothes for Karen, a warm meal, small trinkets to cheer her up. Karen had been hesitant, shy, and withdrawn at first, but she opened up slowly, especially to Kushina. It wasn't long before Kushina began treating her like a daughter. She had always wanted a girl, and Karen filled that empty space with quiet eagerness. Naruto introduced Karen to his friends: Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, Ino, and Hinata. Karen bonded quickly with Ino and Hinata, being the only girls in the group. Kushina started teaching Karen Fuinjutsu, proud to pass on the Uzumaki heritage. Karen absorbed it naturally, far better than Naruto, who usually fell asleep mid-lesson. After a few weeks, Kaito began training Karen alongside Naruto. He knew how much potential she held. And he also knew the world wasn't kind to powerless people. Karen agreed immediately. She refused to let herself be helpless ever again. These months had been peaceful. Until yesterday. Team 11 had just returned from a week-long B-ranked mission. Kaito and Hotaru were the first to notice something off about Itachi. He'd been quieter than usual, distracted, distant. Even during the mission, he seemed lost in thought. Back in Konoha, after submitting their mission report, Kaito nudged Itachi. Hey, let's get something to eat. They all agreed and headed to a barbecue shop. After placing their orders, Kaito leaned forward. So, what's bothering you, Itachi? Itachi's shoulders slumped slightly. I was offered a position in the ANBU. Hotaru's eyes widened. That's amazing, Itachi-kun. You'll be the youngest ever. When do you start? If I pass the exam, Itachi murmured. I'll join immediately. Hotaru's excitement faded. That means, you won't be part of Team 11 anymore. Itachi nodded quietly. Hotaru bit her lip. So, our team is going to be disbanded? Probably, Kaito admitted. Or we'll get someone new. But we knew this would happen when we became Chunin. YA no. Hotaru sighed softly. Even so, we should still meet every few weeks, right? Itachi and Kaito both nodded. But Kaito leaned forward again. That's not the real reason you're upset, is it? Itachi gave him a resigned look. Sometimes I wonder if you're secretly a Yamanaka. We've been best friends for years, Kaito replied. You would be proud to join ANBU. You would be sad to leave us. But those things wouldn't distract you on a mission. Itachi lowered his gaze. Hi. There's something else. No Uchiha has ever joined ANBU. And with the tension between the clan and the village, I fear there may be ulterior motives. Kaito's expression darkened. Danzo. It was Danzo. Always Danzo. After that, the three of them fell silent, eating in a heavy, contemplative atmosphere. When they finished, they parted ways quietly, promising to meet again soon. Kaito took a breath, steadying himself. Then he finally said it. Tsunade Senju. Shikaku's eyebrows rose a fraction. Not shock, more like a man who expected a curveball, but not this one. He leaned back slightly, studying Kaito as though he were a new shogi formation he hadn't seen before. Tsunade, he muttered under his breath, fingers brushing the edge of his teacup. That's not a name people throw around lightly. Kaito nodded. I know. But she's the only one who can actually fix this village. Shikaku didn't respond immediately. He set down his tea, one finger tapping the wooden board between them. She's respected. Strong. Has the bloodline, the reputation, the political weight. She's also left the village and sworn off anything to do with leadership. Convincing her to take the hat won't be easy. Kaito leaned forward. It doesn't need to be easy. It just needs to work. Shikaku exhaled through his nose, long and tired. And how exactly do you plan on doing that, Kaito? She doesn't take orders. She doesn't bend to pressure. She doesn't care about titles or politics. She hates this village for what it did to her family. Kaito met his gaze without blinking. Which is exactly why she should lead it. Someone who knows the pain this village can cause won't let that pain happen again. A brief silence fell between them, not empty, but heavy, as if the room itself paused to listen. Kaito continued, Tsunade is someone the Uchiha won't oppose. She's someone the clans trust, someone the daimyo respects, and someone the Jonin Council can't dismiss. And she's not part of the current rotten system. Shikaku sighed again, this time sounding more thoughtful than dismissive. Getting clan support would be possible. And the Jonin Council would like someone who isn't the current Hokage or Danzo. He moved a shogi piece idly. But the daimyo, that's the tricky one. Kaito shook his head. The daimyo only cares about stability. If we present Tsunade as the candidate backed by the clans, the Jonin, and the village's most influential figures, he will accept her. The alternative is civil unrest. No daimyo wants that. Shikaku ran a hand through his hair. This is still dangerous territory. Hokage succession isn't something a chunin should be messing with. I'm not messing with it, Kaito countered. I'm preventing the massacre of an entire clan. And possibly a civil war. His eyes darkened. If someone doesn't intervene, the Uchiha will be wiped out. I know it. You know it. Shikaku didn't deny it. He looked down at the shogi board, tapping one of the pieces. You're talking about political reform, rebalancing power, uprooting corruption. This is bigger than any mission you've ever taken. Kaito nodded once. That's why I need your help. Shikaku let out a deep, resigned sigh, the kind of sigh a man makes when he realizes he's already halfway convinced. All right, he said finally, meeting Kaito's eyes. Let's say we go through with this. Let's say we gather support. Let's say we convince the daimyo. He leaned forward slightly. How do you plan on convincing Tsunade herself? Kaito smiled faintly, that determined look sharp in his eyes. By showing her the truth. By showing her what's at stake. And by reminding her that Konoha isn't just a village that brought her pain, it's also the village her grandfather built, the village her brother wanted to protect, and the village that needs her before it collapses. Shikaku looked at him for a long moment, then chuckled under his breath. You really are troublesome, Kaito. Kaito grinned. So you'll help me? Shikaku picked up a shogi piece and moved it across the board. I'll help you prepare. Help you gather allies. Help you build a foundation that can survive political backlash. But, his eyes sharpened. No rash moves. No tipping your hand too early. One wrong step, and Danzo will come for you. I know, Kaito said quietly. But doing nothing guarantees bloodshed. Shikaku nodded. Then we'll do this smart. The late afternoon breeze drifted through the porch, rustling the edges of the shogi board. The pieces sat between them, each one suddenly feeling more symbolic, as if they weren't playing a game, but planning a war of shadows. Shikaku took a sip of his tea and murmured, Tsunade Senju. A bold move. A dangerous one. But if it works, he looked up at Kaito with a rare, proud glint in his eyes. It might just save the village. Kaito exhaled slowly, a weight lifting from his chest. Then let's begin, sensei. And across the board, Shikaku moved a single piece, the first deliberate step in reshaping Konoha's future. Kaito watched Shikaku in silence for a few moments. When realization hit, Shikaku's eyes widened and he crossed his arms defensively. No. I'm not becoming Hokage, Kaito. Kaito blinked. Huh? Who said anything about you becoming Hokage, sensei? Then he broke into laughter. You actually thought that's what I was suggesting? Sensei, you'd never survive the paperwork, too troublesome, why no? He wiped a tear from the corner of his eye. Shikaku coughed, looking slightly embarrassed. Ahem. Forget what I said. You still haven't answered my question. Kaito smirked. Don't worry. The person I have in mind is well loved in Konoha, so getting support shouldn't be an issue. But I'll still need your help, sensei. Shikaku sighed deeply, fingers pausing over a shogi piece. All right, I'm listening. Who is this candidate? Kaito inhaled slowly. Tsunade Senju. Shikaku gave a thoughtful nod. Lady Tsunade. Yes, she'd be a solid choice. A sannin, the granddaughter of the first Hokage, highly respected even among the Uchiha. He moved a shogi piece, then continued, but she's been away from the village for years. No one knows where she is, not even the third Hokage. And that's not even the biggest problem. His gaze shifted to Kaito. How exactly do you plan to convince her to take the hat? I've already started searching, Kaito replied. I sent out several shadow clones across the Land of Fire, and Kakashi-sensei is helping too. He's using his ninken to track any scent trails. We found a few hints, but the trail's gone cold for now. As for convincing her, Kaito met Shikaku's gaze. I have a plan. Shikaku raised an eyebrow. So Kakashi's already in on this? Kaito shook his head. No. You're the first person I've told. Kakashi-sensei was only helping me find her to treat my mom. I just haven't had the chance to talk to him about the Hokage part yet. But when I meet him next, I'll let him know everything. Shikaku leaned back, thinking. So what do you need from me? Kaito clasped his hands together. Connections. Influence. I don't have ties with the clans or the jonin. But you do. If Lady Tsunade agrees, then having you help build the political support behind her would make everything smoother. Why no? Shikaku considered that silently. After a moment, he shifted one more shogi piece before answering. All right. I'll help you. The Uchiha situation is already unstable, and a new Hokage might calm things down. It's worth trying. Kaito nodded in appreciation. Shikaku continued, but you mentioned giving the Uchiha something, to pacify them. What do you have in mind? Kaito leaned back. I have a proposal, but I want to discuss it with Lady Tsunade first. That's why I want you with me when I meet her. Having someone like you there adds legitimacy. I mean, I'm only 11, why no? Hi, I'll come, Shikaku said. It's smart to speak with her before involving the clans. And I'll start nudging things politically, quietly. But time isn't on our side. We need to find her as soon as possible. If she agrees, the clans will follow. They're already losing patience with the third. With that, Shikaku placed his final shogi piece down, checkmate. He gave Kaito a sideways look. Say, you don't happen to know anything about those rumors floating around the village, do you? Kaito smirked. No idea what you're talking about, sensei. He stood up. I'll contact you the moment we find Lady Tsunade. Shikaku nodded seriously. And Kaito, be careful who you trust with this. One wrong word, and you'll be branded a traitor. Kaito nodded back, then flickered away. Outside the Nara compound, Kaito looked up at the now dark sky and started making his way home at a relaxed pace. As he walked, a surge of memories hit him, the dispelling of a shadow clone he had stationed to tail Itachi. As expected, Itachi had been sent out on a mission tied to his ANBU evaluation. Kaito frowned. He remembered whispers from the original timeline. Itachi's test involved a man named something Hinata, someone so skilled he overwhelmed both Itachi and Shisui. After searching through Konoha's Shinobi records, including root files he'd taken after raiding Danzo's base, Kaito had found him. Mukai Hinata. A civilian-born prodigy. Former root operative. A father with a terminally ill son. A man who had turned traitor only to pay for his child's medical bills. From the clone's memories, Kaito watched the entire sequence. Mukai had created a clone to stay in Konoha beside his sleeping son, while the real him slipped out of the village to meet his Kirigakure contact. Kaito formed a new shadow clone to return home while he himself teleported outside Konoha using a Hiraishin marker. He picked up the kunai, closed his eyes, and activated Kagura's mind's eye, locking onto Itachi and Shisui, following them from 2 kilometers away. The meeting point was deep in the forest, 50 kilometers from Konoha. With a sudden jerk, Mukai ducked and activated a Byakugan, his right eye. Bingo, Kaito muttered. The moment Mukai spotted the hidden ANBU pair, he killed the Kiri informant with a single palm strike. Kunai flashed through the air, thrown at Itachi and Shisui's hiding spot. Both dodged, creating distance. Itachi stepped forward. "Please surrender. We don't want to fight." But Mukai only shook his head. He'd betrayed too much. There was no surrender for him. With Byakugan activated, he bolted toward them, fast. Itachi fell back, preparing a counter, but Mukai's first strike passed through Itachi's chest, only for Itachi to burst into crows. Shisui retaliated with a great fireball, but Mukai sliced straight through it with a vertical gentle fist strike, dispersing the flames. He closed in on Shisui, exchanging hits. But something felt wrong to him. Shisui's footwork was guiding him somewhere. Realizing Itachi was concealing himself to catch him in genjutsu, Mukai carefully tracked Itachi's position with his Byakugan. He waited for an opening, then moved. The Shisui he cut down vanished. It had only been a clone. The real Mukai appeared behind Itachi and began striking at his Tenketsu. But Itachi exploded into crows again. The real Itachi dropped down behind Mukai, launching multiple small fireballs hidden inside shuriken. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Mukai swung his arm in a smooth arc. "Impressive," he said, unleashing 8 trigrams rotation. The dome of chakra slammed against the incoming fireballs and scattered them harmlessly. He dropped the rotation instantly and slipped into the 64 palm stance. Itachi tried to retreat. Too slow. 8 palms landed cleanly before Shisui intervened, attacking the Byakugan blind spot. Mukai grabbed Shisui by the throat, lifting him effortlessly as he tightened his grip. Itachi staggered from the Tenketsu strikes but still advanced with his Sharingan glowing. Mukai snarled, "Your Sharingan genjutsu won't work on me." He spun sharply on his heel, chakra erupting around him as he executed 8 trigrams rotation, a dense dome of spinning chakra forming just as the Phoenix Flower Jutsu collided against it and scattered harmlessly. The moment the rotation dissipated, Mukai dropped into the stance of 8 trigrams 64 palms. Itachi tried to retreat and create distance, but Mukai was too fast. He closed the gap instantly, landing the first 8 strikes on Itachi's Tenketsu before Shisui rushed in from the Byakugan's blind spot. Mukai twisted, sidestepped Shisui's horizontal Tanto slash, and caught Shisui by the neck, lifting him effortlessly. As Shisui struggled, Mukai squeezed harder. Itachi shakily tried to intervene, Sharingan spinning desperately. Mukai didn't flinch. "The Sharingan's genjutsu won't work on me." Kaito crouched 2 kilometers away, watching everything through his mind's eye of the Kagura. He muttered under his breath, he's been hiding his true strength, recalling exactly what Mukai's stolen root dossier had said. He'd already been prepared to teleport using the Hiraishin marker on Itachi's forehead protector, but paused when Shisui attacked from the blind spot. Mukai countered instantly anyway, catching Shisui mid-strike. Using Kagura's mind's eye, Kaito sensed Shisui's chakra suddenly spike in his eyes. Shit, he's about to awaken it, Kaito realized. He vanished. Itachi, barely staying upright after taking 14 64 palm strikes, staggered forward trying to help Shisui. His Sharingan spun wildly, desperate. Shisui's mind raced as Mukai's grip tightened around his throat. Could that work? The 3 tomo in Shisui's eyes began to spin, merging. Then something tapped the back of his neck. Everything went black. The last thing he saw was Mukai's hand still gripping him. Kaito materialized in front of Mukai with such speed that Mukai's Byakugan couldn't track him. In one swift motion, Kaito kicked Mukai square in the face, launching him backward across the clearing. At the same time, Kaito placed his left hand on Shisue's neck and pulsed lightning chakra, knocking him unconscious safely, before catching his falling body. Mukai slid across the grass, stunned. Where did he come from? Itachi stared wide-eyed. Kaito, how? His gaze flicked to the unconscious Shisui. Kaito knelt and set Shisui beside him. Yo, Itachi. You okay? He asked calmly. Don't worry, he's just unconscious. Itachi nodded weakly. What are you doing here? Kaito stood, eyes on Mukai. Oh, I'm actually here for him. Mukai wiped the blood from his lip and glared. So they even sent the fourth brat after me. Heh. It won't make a difference. He darted forward. Kaito raised one hand, forming a single-handed half-ram seal. Mukai froze mid-step. Kanji writhed across his body, tightening like invisible chains. Mukai's eyes widened. A paralysis seal? When? Kaito walked toward him casually. You're wondering when I placed it? When I kicked you. And the more chakra you use to break it, the stronger it gets. Mukai gritted his teeth but couldn't move. Kaito continued, voice steady. You were part of the ANBU escort when we protected the daimyo 2 years ago, weren't you? Mukai smirked faintly. Heh. So you recognized me. Itachi managed to stand and said, we should take him back to Konoha. Kaito shook his head. Like I said, I'm here for him. This isn't your mission, Itachi. Before Itachi could respond, chakra chains burst from Kaito's back, forming a dome around all of them, just like Kushina's barrier, only smaller. Kaito's voice shifted, colder now. Why did you sell Konoha's secrets to Kirigakyo? Medical bills for your son? Or something else? Don't lie, I'll know. Mukai exhaled shakily. I did it to pay for my son's treatment. Konoha refused my request for aid because I don't officially exist as a Konoha shinobi. His voice trembled. Just kill me. My wife and son. They don't know anything. They're innocent. Kaito shook his head. Do you really think taking all the blame will save them? You think Danzo leaves loose ends? Mukai flinched. Kaito stepped closer. Your house has been monitored by Root ANBU for 2 days. They're waiting. Mukai's expression collapsed into fear. The Hokage would never allow. Really? Kaito cut him off. The same Hokage who let Danzo keep a Sharingan in his eye socket. Mukai went silent. Kaito continued, so here's my offer. Become my spy. Itachi's eyes widened sharply. Mukai stared hard. Oh, why me? Kaito crossed his arms. What do you know about the Ninetales attack? Only the official report. The masked man behind the Ninetales? Same guy who attacked the daimyo. Mukai's eyes widened again. He's forming an organization of S-class shinobi. Their goal is to capture all 9 bijou. Mukai swallowed. So, you want me to infiltrate them? Kaito nodded. Why should I risk it? My family is already doomed. Kaito held up a sealing scroll. 100 million ryo. Enough to move your family far from Konoha. Enough for your son's treatment. And when you're done with the mission, I'll make sure the new Hokage pardons you. Itachi's eyes narrowed. New Hokage? Mukai hesitated. How can I trust you? You can't, Kaito said honestly. But what other option do you have? And I never break my word. What do you mean by new Hokage? Mukai asked. Kaito shrugged. Not your concern. You'll see. Mukai took a breath. How will you get my family out? You said they're being watched. Kaito twirled a tree-pronged kunai on his finger. With this. Mukai's eyes widened. Hiraishin. After a long silence, he nodded. All right. I'll do it. But keep your promise. Kaito dispelled the paralysis enough for Mukai to move his head. Open your mouth. Stick out your tongue. Mukai obeyed. Kaito inspected Danzo's cursed seal. What a pathetic design. He wiped it away with a chakra pulse, then placed his own curse seal, a spiraling pattern. That's to ensure secrecy, Kaito said. Mukai nodded solemnly. Kaito freed him completely. As of now, Mukai Hinata is dead. He tossed Mukai a scroll. New identity. Bounties to hunt. Build a reputation. He unsealed a corpse and activated the transformation matrix. Give me your blood. Mukai smeared it where instructed. Kaito performed a sequence of hand signs, light flared, and the corpse turned into a perfect replica of Mukai. Dress it in your uniform, Kaito said. Your spare clothes are in the scroll. Mukai obeyed. Kaito continued, the organization calls itself Akatsuki. S-class rogues, black cloaks with red clouds. Orochimaru's one of them. Mukai froze. Orochimaru. Kaito nodded. And more. Infiltrate them. Report through this. He handed Mukai an ear-clip communicator. Just send chakra into it and speak mentally. Mukai finished prepping the corpse. What about them? He asked, pointing at Itachi and Shisui. Itachi is my friend. I trust him, Kaito said. Shisui won't remember anything when he wakes up. Mukai nodded. My family. When? Kaito formed a hand seal. They're already safe. My clones handled it. A new shadow clone appeared beside him. This one will take you to them. Mukai placed a hand on the clone's shoulder, then vanished with it. Kaito dispelled the chakra chains and turned to Itachi. So, he said, dusting his hands off, what do you want to know? Itachi stared at him seriously. What did you mean by new Hokage? Mukai finished dressing the corpse and asked, what about them? He pointed at Itachi and Shisui. Kaito answered, Itachi is my friend. I trust him. He jabbed a thumb at the dummy. Itachi already has your corpse to take back to the village. Mukai frowned. When will you move my family? Kaito hummed, then shrugged. I already did. He snapped a finger and formed a shadow clone. This one will bring them to you. Mukai touched the clone's shoulder. The clone executed hand signs and both it and Mukai vanished in a blink. Kaito turned back to Itachi. So, what do you want to know? Itachi stared at him, cold and precise. What did you mean by new Hokage? 2 kilometers away, Kaito's shadow clone sat pressed against a tree trunk, eyes scanning through the Kagura mind's eye. For 2 days the clone had watched Mukai's house, keeping track of the route ANBU tailing the family. When Mukai's domestic clone dispersed during lunch, the ANBU noticed immediately. The clone logged it, filed it, and waited for the signal. The signal hit. Memories rushed into the watching clone from the original Kaito. The clone smirked under its breath. Boss found a replacement for Itachi, it thought. It moved like smoke through the undergrowth toward Mukai's home. At the house the clone split into 3 and slipped inside. With quiet efficiency they knocked Mukai's wife and child out gently, then folded into perfect replicas and took their places. Another clone bound the real family with chakra chains, lifted them, and sealed them into a scroll. With a few hand signs the clone activated Hiraishin and blinked the family away to a remote clearing near the Fire Tea border, a carefully chosen spot near Hacho village where Kaito judged they'd be safe. Once placed on soft grass, the clone dispelled itself and its memories flowed back to Kaito. Minutes later a different shadow clone reappeared beside the clearing with Mukai at its side. Mukai fell to his knees and checked pulses. Relief washed over him when he confirmed they were only unconscious. They'll wake soon, the clone said. This way is Hacho village. Here. It tossed Mukai a scroll. Funds for a house and business. Settle them for a few months. Lay low. Mukai accepted the scroll solemnly as the clone explained the rest. We've made your family untraceable. To Konoha, they're dead. Keep your new identity high profile enough to get recruited by what you're joining, but never let the Akatsuki know about them. The clone handed Mukai a small ring. Channel chakra into this if you ever need extraction. It will bring you here. Mukai's wife stirred. They're waking. The clone left Mukai with instructions and a final reminder about monthly reports, then vanished. Back in the clearing, Itachi's eyes bore into Kaito. Explain, he demanded. Kaito met the stare levelly. New Hokage. Exactly that. Itachi's jaw tightened. Kaito, that's treason. Kaito shrugged. Hiruzen stepped in as a caretaker long ago. He's a stopgap until a proper successor is found. If we can find someone the daimyo, the clans, and the Jonin Council respect, and who's willing to restore the Uchiha's rights with guarantees against future abuse, we avoid blood on both sides. That's not treason, it's prevention. He paused, unflinching. If tensions keep rising, there are only two likely outcomes. The higher-ups purge the Uchiha, or the Uchiha stage a coup. Neither is acceptable. Putting an Uchiha in charge would be the simplest fix, but the clans wouldn't support it right now. So we need someone universally respected who will actually return the Uchiha's rights and put protections in place. Shikaku agrees with me. Itachi's eyes sharpened. You've discussed this with Shikaku? Kaito nodded. Yes. He'll help gather political backing. But first we need someone to accept the seat. Itachi digested the plan, expression moving from disbelief to reluctant calculation. I don't like it, but, if this prevents civil war, I'll help. Kaito smiled. Good. I'll need your help convincing the Uchiha. The candidate I have in mind is Lady Tsunade. Itachi nodded slowly. Tsunade, respected even by the Uchiha. Kaito handed Itachi the tanto he'd used on the corpse. When Shisui wakes, tell him Mukai stabbed himself. ANBU carry seals that force suicide if they're compromised. We'll say Mukai's seal triggered. Keep quiet about the rest. Itachi accepted the tanto. Understood. I won't tell. Kaito flicked a hand, activated Hiraishin, and vanished. He left behind Itachi, the unconscious Shisui, and the Mukai double. Itachi exhaled and turned to wake Shisui, preparing for the next step. Kaito dropped into his room in a crouch. A shadow clone slept on his bed. Kaito formed a hand sign and dispelled it. The clone's memories flowed back, Mukai relocated, the Akatsuki infiltration set in motion, Itachi briefed. Kaito stood and ran a hand over his face. Everything's moving, he muttered. Let's hope it works. He picked up a towel and headed for the bath. Kaito flashed the Hiraishin seal and vanished from the clearing, leaving Itachi, the unconscious Shisui, and the Mukai double behind. Itachi exhaled and turned to wake Shisui, preparing for the next steps of the mission. Kaito dropped into his room in a crouch, eyes scanning the familiar clutter. A shadow clone slept on his bed. With a single hand seal he dispelled it. The clone's memories flowed back into him. He stood, replayed the day in his head, and muttered, All right. Everything's in motion. Hope this goes well. He grabbed a towel and headed to the bath. Morning came faster than Kaito expected. He blinked at the clock, 6:45. Damn, I overslept, he groaned. He usually trained from 4:30. Still half asleep, he padded into the kitchen. Naruto and Karen sat at the table, breakfast spread out. Karen was reading a sealing manual between bites. Morning, Kaito yawned. Where's Mom? Out back, came the chorus. Kaito wandered to the courtyard and found Kushina hanging laundry. Morning, Mom, he said, grabbing a basket to help. She looked up and frowned at his sleepiness. Did you forget what day it is? It's Naruto and Karen's first day at the academy. We leave by 7:30. He nearly choked. Today? I thought next week. Nope, the academy starts on April 13th, Kushina reminded him, already busier than he'd hoped. He hustled to dress. 10 minutes later they were ready, Kushina in a red kimono, Naruto buzzing with energy, Karen shy and neat. Kaito tied his sandals and they walked toward the academy beside the Hokage tower. The grounds were packed, parents and new students everywhere. Kushina guided Naruto and Karen through registration while Kaito took in the crowd. Hotaru and her family were already there. Hotaru waved and gave Naruto and Karen playful fussing. Hayashi and Hitomi arrived with baby Hanabi. Hinata followed, cheeks faintly flushed. Introductions were quick, polite, warm. A chunin climbed a podium and called all new students forward. Parents were asked to stand back. Kushina lingered chatting with Mikoto, Itachi, and a few others. Kaito kept his face casual. He couldn't let their recent secrets show. When the Hokage took the podium and began reciting the usual will of fire, Kaito's attention snagged on a presence, an Anbu detail, Kakashi among them. Timing felt right. He excused himself and body flickered to the tree where the Anbu waited. Kaito landed among the branch shadows and called up to them. The Anbu tensed until Kakashi recognized him and told them to stand down. Kaito asked for a quick word. Kakashi, wary, created a shadow clone and sent it with Kaito. "Lead the way," the clone said. They blinked up onto the mountain faces, but Kaito shook his head. Not safe enough. He placed a hand on Kakashi's clone, formed a one-handed seal, and the two vanished out past the village, Hiraishin in action. Kakashi's clone glanced around, impressed. "We are outside. Safe from eavesdroppers," Kaito said. "This has to be quick." Back at the academy, Naruto's cohort ran an obstacle course. Naruto's training with Kaito paid off. He finished first, leaving even Sasuke behind. Karen and Hinata tied as the fastest girls. Then they tested shuriken accuracy. Sasuke aced it. Hinata performed well. Naruto wasn't at the top yet. Karen placed last among their group but held her own. Sparring began. Hinata faced Ino and won with a single precise palm strike. She apologized profusely afterward. Kiba's match was routine. Karen faced Sakura and surprised everyone by pinning her in moments. Then it was Naruto versus Sasuke. Kushina cheered like a proud storm. Kaito flickered back beside Itachi and Hotaru, watching with a satisfied smirk. Hajime. The two boys collided in the center. Naruto's relentless pressure forced Sasuke on the defensive. They traded heavy blows, aerial kicks, and sudden reversals. At one point Naruto caught Sasuke's fist and flipped him out of the circle. "The winner is Naruto Uzumaki," the instructor called. Sasuke landed outside and scowled, nursing a sprained ankle. He muttered that it was luck. Naruto beamed, Kushina whooped, and Mikoto noticed Sasuke's Sharingan stirring awake. Kaito nudged Itachi. "Looks like Sasuke's Sharingan awakened." Itachi watched his brother in silence, voice flat. "Yes." Hotaru smiled. Both of them fought well. After the matches, Shikaku appeared with Inoichi and Choza. Their wives chatted nearby. Kaito, Hotaru, and Itachi greeted him. Shikaku congratulated Itachi on ANBU recruitment and then drifted into casual conversation about the new students. As the academy day wound down, Kaito folded the morning's events into the larger plans already moving in his head. The village looked ordinary on the surface, children learning, parents watching, but underneath, everything he and his friends were trying to shift was still in motion. He body flickered away from the academy crowd and, when the moment felt right, slipped into the bathhouse to scrub the dust of the last few days off. The day was far from over, and the pieces he'd set in motion were already spreading outward. Kaito turned to Itachi. "Looks like Sasuke awakened the Sharingan the same way you did, Itachi." Itachi nodded as the instructor called for the reconciliation seal. Hotaru smiled. Both Naruto-kun and Sasuke-kun fought well. Naruto grinned at Sasuke. "Told you, Temi, I'm stronger than you." Sasuke, still annoyed by his loss and favoring a sore ankle, snapped back, "You got lucky, Dobi. Next time I'll win." He limped off toward the waiting students. Naruto puffed his chest out and laughed. "Bring it on. I'll pummel you every time." Their friends crowded around them, trading praise and good-natured taunts. The last match, Choji vs Shikamaru, ended when Shikamaru quietly forfeited. Kaito leaped away a heartbeat before a lightning arrow slammed into the ground where he'd been standing, tearing the earth into a sparkling corona of electricity. Another shot sliced the air toward him. He flickered, intangible, and the arrow passed through harmlessly as he rematerialized several meters away, skidding to a halt with a tree-pronged kunai in hand. A hail of smaller lightning arrows followed. Kaito channeled wind chakra into his kunai and deflected them. He watched for the bigger bolt hidden among them, then hurled his tree-pronged kunai straight at it. The projectile struck where he'd just stood and detonated in a blinding explosion. Hotaru, Byakugan active, saw him vanish as the bolt hit. She startled when a kunai pressed against her neck, then felt Kaito's calm voice at her ear. "It's over, Hotaru-chan." The kunai slipped away. They landed softly, faces flushing, and both exhaled. They had been training from dawn, pushing each other until the sun hung high. Needing water, they rested on a large boulder. Kaito handed Hotaru a bottle. "You've gotten really good with the bow," he said. Hotaru named the weapon Raijin no Yumi. Kaito had crafted it himself, sealing in mechanisms that converted chakra into split-firing lightning arrows. She admitted she'd been practicing, primarily using her Byakugan to aim. "When you master it," Kaito said, "you could take down whole squads from range." Hotaru brightened. "I've been thinking about jutsu to pair with it," she said. "I'll show you later." She produced a wrapped bento with a shy smile and offered it to Kaito. Chicken karaage and rice, his favorite. He took a bite and grinned. "This tastes like Mom's." Hotaru blushed. She'd learned the recipe from Kushina. They finished, stretched, and readied themselves to train again. A rustle from the bushes announced an unexpected arrival. A small pug in a blue vest and a konoha protector, Pakken. The little dog trotted up and announced in his gravelly voice, "Kaito good. I found you." Kaito laughed. "Pakken, what brings you here?" Pakken sniffed the air and said, "We found Lady Tsunade. She's in the land of tea." Kaito's expression tightened. "Where exactly?" "She arrived this morning. Akino's tailing her." Kaito's plan snapped into motion. He reached with Kagura's mind's eye, locating Shikaku about 25 kilometers away. "We have to move fast. Pakken, come with us. Hotaru, let's go see Sensei." They sped through the trees, Hotaru hopping branch to branch, Pakken perched on Kaito's head, and arrived at the Konoha Intel office. Shikaku was buried in paperwork but noticed the urgency on Kaito's face as they slipped in through the window. Kaito sealed the room and explained, "Pakken found Tsunade. She's in a small town in the land of tea." Shikaku rubbed his chin. "If we leave now we can reach the land of tea by tomorrow morning." "No," Shikaku said. "Leave tomorrow. I'll arrange a cover mission nearby." He looked pointedly at Kaito. "Why are you planning to bring Kushina, Naruto, and Karen?" Kaito bristled. "I wanted Tsunade to heal Mom." Shikaku's face tightened. "You really think the elders will let Naruto leave the village? Or Kushina? Naruto is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. He's a strategic asset. Trying to take them out under the noses of the Hokage and the elders will only draw attention." Hotaru agreed. "Sensei's right." Kaito's jaw set. He produced a tree-pronged kunai and grinned. "I can still bring them without them knowing, without the village knowing." Shikaku raised an eyebrow. "You've mastered the Hiraishin." Kaito nodded. Then he asked Pakken, "Can you meet us outside the village tomorrow morning?" "Sure. What time?" 7, East Side. Pakken accepted a sealing scroll Kaito handed him, treats sealed inside for the pack, and reverse summoned away. Shikaku agreed to lead the cover, and Hotaru waved them out of the office. Kaito left with a plan shaping up, Tsunade located, an extraction window secured, Shikaku's diplomacy in motion, and Pakken as their field contact. As they departed, Kaito couldn't help but feel the day's momentum. Months of training, missions, and secret maneuvers had shifted the board. Tsunade's name was now a beacon for the change they were trying to force, a new Hokage, a calmer future for the Uchiha, and a way to restore balance to the village. Shikaku eyed the kunai carefully. You've mastered the Hiraishin. Kaito nodded. He looked to Pakken, who had hopped onto the table. Can you meet us outside the village tomorrow morning? Sure, Pakken replied. What time? 7, Shikaku said. East side gate. Pakken prepared to leave, but Kaito stopped him and handed him a sealing scroll. There are treats inside. Enough for you and the whole pack. Pakken accepted it gratefully before reverse summoning away. Turning back to Shikaku, Kaito said, We'll meet you at the entrance, sensei. Hotaru gave a quick bow as the two of them headed out. Kaito was sitting on the porch, tightening the straps of his sandals. Kushina stood behind him with a gentle smile, while one of Kaito's shadow clones leaned against the wall, waiting. Naruto and Karen had already left for the academy with another clone. Kaito stood and hugged his mother. I'm heading out, Mom. Be careful, Kai-kun, she said softly. Kaito nodded to his clone and vanished into the trees. He'd explained everything to Kushina last night, finding Tsunade, teleporting her out of the village so the Hokage couldn't block it, and his plan to bring Tsunade back to become the new Hokage. Kushina had cried for half an hour straight the moment she learned he'd been searching for Tsunade for years to help her. After calming down, she agreed with his plan. When Kaito arrived at the Hyuga compound, he waved to the guards. Morning, Hiroka-san, Mitoma-san. Morning, Kaito-san, Mitoma greeted. Here for Lady Hotaru. Heading out with Shikaku-sama? Hiroki asked. Kaito nodded. Yeah. A few minutes later, Hotaru appeared, tying her headband as she walked. Sorry, Kai-kun. Father wanted to talk before I left. It's fine. I just got here too, Kaito said. They both headed toward the east gate, leaping through the trees. Shikaku was already waiting by the booth when they arrived. You two ready? Hotaru bowed. Sorry for the delay, sensei. Don't worry about it. Shikaku waved them off. We can head out now. They left Konoha together, taking to the treetops. Not long after, Pakken landed on Kaito's head with a grumble. You're late. Hotaru bowed slightly. Sorry, Pakken-san. Kaito handed him a biscuit. So, sensei, what mission did you choose? B rank, Shikaku replied. Eliminate a bandit camp near Degarashi Port. That's in the land of tea, right? Hotaru asked. Yes, Shikaku said. Should take us about a week. Pakken added. Lady Tsunade is in a town close to the port. Shikaku nodded. Good timing. We'll finish the mission after meeting her. Kaito offered, or I send clones to clear the bandits. Shikaku sighed but nodded. That would be better. Gives us more time to talk to Tsunade. Hotaru asked, when will Lady Kushina join us? After we cross the border, Kaito said. No need for patrols spotting them. Shikaku knew better than to argue when it came to Kaito's family. They pushed hard for the rest of the day and reached a small border town by nightfall. Shikaku, panting and hunched over, announced they were resting. Hotaru agreed. Kaito blinked at them both. You guys are tired already. Shikaku muttered something about Uzumaki stamina and trudged toward the inn. The next morning, Shikaku set the pace so Kaito wouldn't accidentally leave them behind. They crossed into the land of tea before noon. How far now? Kaito asked. About an hour and a half, Pakken replied. Then let's stop for lunch, Kaito said, already tossing a tree-pronged kunai into the ground. I'll get them. Be right back. He vanished instantly. Back home, Kushina, Naruto, Karen, and Kaito's clone were sitting in the living room playing a board game, fully packed and waiting. Kai-nai. Naruto jumped up. We've been waiting forever. What took so long, Databayo? Kaito smirked. The land of tea isn't exactly next door. Kushina stood, lifting the picnic basket. "We are ready, Kai-kun." Kaito explained again why Naruto couldn't brag about the trip. After hearing they could be arrested, Naruto paled and promised to stay quiet. Karen nodded too. Kaito wrapped all three of them in chakra chains while his clone created 3 replacements. Then he teleported them out. They arrived in the clearing where Shikaku, Hotaru, and Pakken waited. Kaito released the chakra chains. Kushina and Karen landed safely. Naruto face-planted into the dirt. Naruto glared up at him. "You totally did that on purpose." Kaito ignored him and walked toward his team. Kushina smiled, lifting the basket. "Lunch is ready." Hotaru lit up. "You're the best, Lady Kushina." Everyone ate, chorusing "Itadakamasu" before digging in. But midway through the meal, Kaito froze, chopsticks hovering midair. He turned sharply toward the trees. Shikaku straightened immediately. Hotaru activated her Byakugan. Pakken's nose twitched. 3 signatures, Kaito said. "Fast. 2 jonin, and 1 cage level." Naruto and Karen looked confused. Then 3 figures landed at the far edge of the clearing. And every instinct Kaito had went on high alert. Shikaku, between bites, answered, "We are near the Land of Tea's border, about 25 kilometers from the town where Lady Tsunade was located." Kaito lifted his chopsticks, about to take another bite, then froze. His head turned sharply toward the tree line. A spike of killing intent prickled along his skin. He stood up abruptly. Kushina blinked at his sudden movement. "Kai-kun." Hotaru and Shikaku were on their feet instantly, reading the shift in his chakra. Pakken's nose twitched. 3 signatures. Closing fast. Naruto and Karen exchanged confused looks. Kaito's expression hardened. 2 jonin, and 1 cage level. The moment he spoke, 3 figures landed across the clearing, dust scattering at their feet. Shikaku's eyes narrowed the instant he recognized the man leading the group. Kaito felt his stomach drop. The man at the front was huge, broad shoulders, dark skin like polished obsidian, white hair pulled back. Golden vambraces glinted on thick wrists. A white hari hung open across a torso covered in black fumishuriken tattoos. The 4th Reikage. Kaito swallowed the sudden rush of irritation. Of all the people to run into, this walking temper tantrum had to be it. The 2 shinobi behind wore Kumo headbands, their eyes sharp and alert. Kaito didn't recognize them. His family stood behind him, tense. Kushina's eyes widened. She whispered. She instinctively slipped one arm around Naruto and Karen, pulling them closer. Hotaru's Byakugan flared automatically. Naruto and Karen stared, baffled, as if unsure why everyone suddenly looked ready to fight for their lives. Shikaku stepped forward calmly. "Lord Reikage. We weren't expecting you." I ignored him entirely. His eyes locked on Kushina, sharp as lightning. "Kushina," he scoffed. "You're alive? I was sure you died when the Ninetails got unsealed. Jinchuriki don't usually survive that." His gaze dragged over her, assessing. "HMPH. Must be your Uzumaki blood." Kushina forced a smile. "As you can see, I'm fine." Naruto stepped out, anger flaring across his face. "Hey, old man. Who do you think you're talking to?" I chuckled darkly. "Brat's got a mouth. Definitely your kid." Kushina yanked Naruto back, shielding both him and Karen with her body. Kaito stepped forward. "Is there something you need, Lord Reikage?" Before I could answer, one of the Kumo Jonin leaned in. "Boss, the red-haired kid with blue eyes. That's the brat who defeated Yujito and captured the Jonin in the Hyuga kidnapping attempt. And that Hyuga girl over there, she's the heiress." A's eyes glinted. "I know." Kaito felt the temperature behind his sternum drop a few degrees. A set his gaze fully on him. "So you're the brat who humiliated Kumo twice." Kaito shrugged, tone cool and dismissive. "If the shoe fits." The second Kumo Jonin whispered sharply into A's ear, eyes gleaming with greed. This is our chance. We could take the Uzumaki bloodline, the Byakugan, the Nine Tails. No one in Konoha needs to know. A grunted. After all the humiliation they've given us, maybe it's time Kumo took something back. Kushina's stomach twisted. Her chakra was sealed. She couldn't help, couldn't fight. Naruto and Karen clung to her kimono. Hotaru's fists tightened, Byakugan glowing brighter. Shikaku's hand hovered near his pouch. Careful, Reikage-sama. Threatening children is a good way to start a war neither of us wants. A snorted. A war? Konoha won't know it was us. You're outside the village. And the Hokage would never permit the Jinchuriki to leave the walls. Meaning, you're out here without authorization. Kaito stepped forward, cold fury crackling beneath his skin. You really think you can touch them? He said quietly. Try it. Kai-kun. Kushina whispered in fear. Shikaku cursed internally. Damn it. He's taking the bait. Kaito, Shikaku warned. Kaito looked back just long enough to say, Sensei, protect them. Hotaru, stay with them. Hotaru moved immediately toward Kushina. Kaito created a shadow clone that took position behind his family, chakra chains already coiled. A smirked and shed his hari. Lightning burst across his body, version 1 lightning chakra mode igniting the clearing in blue light. You think you can fight me? There hasn't been a shinobi faster than me since the fourth Hokage died. Lightning crackled like thunder. Kaito felt the seals on his arms loosen as he released all the weights. Good, he thought coldly. Underestimate me. He and A vanished at the same time, two blurs crashing toward one another. A massive Rasengan spiraled to life in Kaito's hand. A's fist reeled back, lightning pulsing. Lightning straight. His punch hit Kaito's face, and passed straight through. A's eyes widened for a fraction of a second. After image. At that exact instant, Kaito's shadow clone wrapped everyone in chakra chains and teleported them far away. They hit the ground in a rough tumble. Kaito! Kushina screamed, looking around frantically. Hotaru activated her Byakugan. He teleported us. Far. He's not in range. Naruto stumbled up, face dirty. Mom, where's Kainai? Shikaku exhaled. This was his plan, from the start. Back at the battlefield, A barely had time to process the afterimage before Kaito appeared above him, Rasengan roaring. Wind release, Rasengan. Kaito drove it into A's back, blasting him into the earth and tearing open a massive crater. A burst from the rubble, coughing blood, clutching his arm. His lightning cloak evaporated. I underestimated him, he thought bitterly. Before A could recover, chakra chains shot out, binding him and his jonin in place. Kaito appeared behind him, kunai to his skull. A stared ahead, jaw tight. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, he muttered. Just like the yellow flash. Kaito's voice was ice. Threaten my family again, and I'll kill even a Reikage. A narrowed his eyes. Letting me live might start a war. Kaito smirked. Who's going to believe the Reikage lost to an 11-year-old? A's jaw clenched. Kaito released the chains and vanished. Back in the clearing where he'd sent his family, Kushina and Hotaru instantly ran toward him the moment he appeared, throwing their arms around him. Kai-kun, they cried together. Kaito wheezed, patting their backs. Air, need air. Shikaku exhaled in relief. So that was the plan, keep him busy while the clone teleported us out. Kushina slapped Kaito's shoulder. What were you thinking fighting him alone? It worked, didn't it? Kaito muttered. Hotaru wiped her eyes. You scared us. Shikaku asked, where did you teleport us? Kaito gestured around. Near Hacho Village. And that wraps up today's episode of What If Naruto Had a Big Brother. Kaito's journey is only getting more intense, and the future of the ninja world is changing with every step he takes. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see what happens next, make sure to hit that like button, share the video with other Naruto fans, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Drop your theories in the comments. I love reading them. See you in the next episode.